In motorsports, the emphasis is put on the individual competitors going for the race wins, but they're usually a part of a larger team. In NASCAR, that is capped at 4. In other forms of motorsports, for example, Formula 1, it's exactly 2. But what if NASCAR had a championship for the best team? First, let's look at it as if it were based off of straight up wins. Hendrick Motorsports led with 17 wins, Joe Gibbs Racing had 10 wins, Team Penske had 5 wins, and then Front Row Motorsports, Stuart Haas Racing, Colleague Racing, and 2311 Racing each had 1 win. The next way to calculate it, this time in the points format, we're going to have 2 points formats. This one really advantages the bigger teams, as you'll see, but this will include stage points. So basically, it's like the F1 way, where everyone who races for the team will score points for that team, and basically just add up all those points, and that's how you come to it. And whichever team scores the most points will become the champion. So here's the final standings. Hendrick Motorsports would win with 4,730 points. Joe Gibbs Racing would have 4,586. The only team even close, still less than 200 points out. And Team Penske, with one less full-time car than Stuart Haas Racing, was able to beat them. Richard Childress Racing rounds out the top 5. Then you have Chip Ganassi Racing, Roush Fenway Racing, JTG, Daugherty Racing, Front Row Motorsports, and Rick Ware Racing. See how it advantages the teams with more cars? Rick Ware Racing is not a top 10 team. 11th would be Spire, Wood Brothers would finish 12th, 2311 Racing would be 13th, Trackhouse 14th, and Richard Petty Motorsports 15th. 16th would be Live Fast, 17th Colleague, 18th Starcom, 19th Gaunt Brothers, and MBM would be 20th. Notice how Colleague would be able to beat Starcom while only racing a fourth of the schedule. And then BJ McLeod Motorsports would score 1 point at Kansas to be 21st. The next way NASCAR could do team standings would be the way that NASCAR Ignition does team standings, where you just calculate the average points. In this scenario, we'll only count charter teams and the 37 car, because those are the only teams that race the full 36 race schedule. In the case of the 33 car with Team Penske, we will not include that at all. Only the teams that completed every race, and we'll just take the average of those cars. In this case, Hendrick Motorsports would beat out Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske. Penske would be closer to JGR, and then you'd have Richard Childress Racing and Chip Ganassi Racing inside the top 5. Interesting to know. And then on page 2, we see Wood Brothers beat out SHR. Stuart Haas Racing fell all the way down to 7th, and Matt Pedro was better than the average Stuart Haas Racing car. We see 2311 Racing, JTG Daugherty Racing got beat up by 2311, and then Trackhouse. Richard Petty Motorsports would be 2 points behind them, and then Front Row Motorsports, followed by Spire, Live Fast, and Rick Ware Racing in last. Actually, no, Starcom Racing with Quinn Houff would be last in 16th. The final format to crown a team champion would be the way NASCAR does the manufacturer standings. Basically, the highest finisher per each manufacturer scores that many points for their manufacturer for where they finished. There are no bonuses for stage points, so that's why you'll notice teams like Trackhouse and 2311 single car teams, their points will be different. This would be the most likely scenario for NASCAR if they were to do a team championship. So we're just going to do that with the team. 9 races in, Joe Gibbs Racing has a 7-point lead over Hendrick Motorsports. Team Penske is close with 28. Stuart Haas Racing off to a poor start, 70 points back. And how about JTG in the top 5? But then Hendrick Motorsports goes on a great run, taking the points lead with a 47-point gap over Joe Gibbs Racing. Team Penske's Stuart Haas are still 3rd and 4th, and Richard Childress Racing has passed JTG for 5th. Although the Chip Ganassi Racing, they're close. Through the regular season, nothing changes really, just an extension of the points lead for Hendrick. After the Roval, Hendrick Motorsports' gap has shrunk a little bit to 54, and Team Penske is about equidistant. But then the Hendrick Motorsports goes on a run, win the final 5 races of the season, including 4 of them being by Kyle Larson. And with 1 race to go, they've locked it up with a 73-point lead over Joe Gibbs Racing. And here's the final standings. Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, Team Penske, 1, 2, 3, pretty much every single points format or championship format that we would do. And Stuart Haas Racing is able to hold on to 4th. Being a larger team is an advantage, but it's not too much of an advantage. Richard Childress Racing 5th. beating out Chip Ganassi Racing by 4 points for top 5. Roush actually gets 7th over JTG, and then Wood Brothers, the highest single team, in 9th. Front Row Motorsports finishes inside the top 10, then 2311, Richard Petty, Trackhouse, Spire, and Rick Ware Racing. And then Live Fast Colleague beats out Starcom. That's interesting. Gaunt Brothers at 110, NBA Motorsports at 90, and finally BG McLeod Motorsports with 1 point from Matt Kills making the race at Kansas. While all of these formats were different, they all showed the same champion, Hendrick Motorsports. It was clear that HMS was the best team of the season, but let me know in the comment section down below which format you like the best. I will also be doing this on my channel, hopefully for the 2022 season on the community tab. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to stay in the upper groove on NASCAR. Otherwise, just like the video. Thank you for watching and have a great Thanksgiving.